Welcome to the AI Beehive Podcast, Real Estate and Mortgage Pros. This is your buzz for smarter tech, faster deals, and less grind. Let's get started.
Well, hi there, and welcome to another episode of the AI Beehive Podcast. My name is Ginger Bell, and I have my co-host with me, George Chevalier. George, how you doing today?
Hello, everybody. How you doing?
Very good. So I'm excited to introduce our guest. He has so much knowledge, and we were just, warming up in the green room a little bit, and I actually had to stop him because it's like, wait. I want to get this on a recording. So John Solleder, John, thank you so much for joining us. We are excited to really dive into how you're using AI in your business. So thanks for joining.
Well, thank you both for having me and welcome everybody. But yeah, I started to use AI. Fast story. I wrote 2 books that came out during COVID, and I had to do a pivot because they came out at a time where I was supposed to be on a 60-city tour over 1 year presenting my books to my network marketing audiences, as well as some of the people in the book, their network marketing audiences. Needless to say, that didn't happen because the books came out in early 2020. So I had to pivot to podcasting. And then podcasting led me eventually to opening my eyes to AI. Now, I'm an older guy. I'm in my 60s. So AI was something that at first intimidated me like it does a lot of people. And then when I realized what a tool to do so much heavy lifting,
Yeah.
that I can use it for all the things that otherwise cost me time, so that I can then just use the expertise that I have to be me, where I can apply the things that only I can do as a human being with a certain amount of knowledge, put that into my business, and it's grown all of my businesses respectively over the last year or so. And it continues to grow as we speak because I let AI do all the heavy lifting of all the stuff that I normally was doing previously. And
Right.
that's what you can use it for in any small business. I don't care whether you're a contractor, whether you're a realtor, insurance, whatever it happens to be that you do, AI is your friend. Make it your friend.
Yeah. So let's unpack that a little bit because, you're a speaker, you're an author, you are a copywriter. I mean, you do so many different things, John. So just let's focus in because I'm intrigued by what you're talking about, what you're writing. So whether it's copywriting for an email campaign for, someone that's doing some marketing. Where do you start with that? Because I think that's where people struggle. It's like, okay, you're using AI. What's the number one tool you're using? So you're going in and you have a client who hires you, and they hire you to write a marketing campaign.
Mhm.
So what's your number one tool? Where do you get started with that? Unpack that for me.
Well, normally what I'll do is I'll still write everything longhand. Longhand
Okay.
means that I literally type it on the computer.
Okay.
Okay, and then I'll stick it into an AI search engine to do corrections.
Okay.
Give me back verbiage, and sometimes it'll change entire lines, entire paragraphs.
Right.
Then I'll send it to different sources depending on who I'm working with for their approval. Obviously, client approval.
Right.
They got to agree with everything that I say in there, and so many businesses have FTC that they have to make sure that they're not saying the wrong thing about their particular product. I deal with a lot of supplementation, for example. So that either I or the AI didn't say the wrong thing. So we got to do that from a legal standpoint. Then once it spits that back to me, then we basically take it and we stick it in AI, okay, to basically say, how do we make this stronger? Okay, give me stronger wording. And sometimes it's kind of like, if you go back to Winston Churchill, it said Churchill would write a speech and then he would spend hours on one word or one line. That's kind of what I let the AI do, is come back with I want the strongest language I can possibly get without being offensive. And then I self-approve it or I disprove it. For example, I've got a little booklet on my website, okay, on equity, for example. AI wrote 80% of that book. Okay, probably more like 90. But
So did you start with a prompt then? So, I mean, it's an equity. So for our audience, and our audience is primarily real estate agents, loan officers, financial planners. So very much in that financial and home ownership and real estate sector. So and I know, George, that sparked your interest as well as far as equity.
Yes.
So how did you start with that? Did you just go into ChatGPT and say, write me a book on equity?
No, I actually had a thing that popped up in an AI server for $29, and I can't even tell you the name of the company right now. I belong to it though. I pay $29 a month to belong to it. It's a writing service. And
Okay.
you go in and you write all the prompts. You give all the keywords. Okay. For example, with that book, we were talking about wills, trusts, annuities, final expense insurance. Those four things. All four things are dear to my heart, by the way. Okay. For a
Yeah.
lot of different reasons. Okay. My own father gave away his annuity, didn't understand the wording of the blue collar guy. My mother got nothing when he died because he chose the life only option on his annuity because he didn't know any better. So it's
Wow.
talking about, if you don't understand something, go to your insurance agent, go to your financial planner, go to your accountant, go to your son or daughter if you have a question, go to the insurance company itself and ask the question. They got people that will guide you so you understand fully what you sign. So it was really more like a cautionary thing on these different financial products, that not only that you understand them a little bit, but you also understand some of the language within those products so that you don't get, basically screw yourself
Right.
or your family. You're dead, but
Yeah.
they got to live with the consequences of bad action. So because I lived that, it got me 40 years ago interested in finance, for example. Today, what I use the AI for is to help educate other people, okay, so that they don't make the same mistakes and leave behind a mess for their families, that they leave, what they should leave behind, which is great memories of you as a human being, not, hey, here's that dad or mom screwed up.
Right.
And John, that's what I wanted to talk about in equity. In the book Equity, you talk about creating long-term value, right? And for a service-based business such as real estate or mortgages, what components of that book could be really beneficial to them?
Well, when we talk about long-term value, okay, in any business, all right, it's, if the business stopped today, what's the value of the business? Okay, if
Mhm.
you had to sell that business, and I'll give you an example, George. I was with a guy a couple of weeks ago who had just accumulated his $15 million of real estate that he has bought through the years. He was in the real estate business. He's got another business that he used to finance the real estate. And in his case, 15 million was the number. What's your number? If you stop today, what's your business worth to somebody else who would come in and potentially write you a check to say, okay, let me take it out? I was with an insurance agent the other day in New Jersey, for example, who I've known for 40 years. He's in the process of selling his business for 30 million. Okay. So what's the number that another individual or another company or a hedge fund or whoever it happens to be, depending on the nature of the business, is going to come along and say, okay, here's what your business is worth. Here's what you built. Here's what it's worth. So that you no longer own the business tomorrow, here's what they're willing to write you a check for. That's the number that we have to always ask ourselves in any business, is what are we really working for? Okay. We're working either for a buyout of another person, or in some cases, it becomes a generational business where your kids are going to take it over. What are they inheriting, and can they grow it exponentially? Okay. If they want to. Some kids don't want to go in mom or dad's business for different reasons, right? But
Right.
assuming that they do, then it's generationally, what am I handing you off, and what do I expect you to grow it to? Okay.
So
So
that's
if you
actually
want to
beyond the cash flow, so to speak.
exactly. It's either, hey, I want to be taken out because I want to go hit golf balls the rest of my life and play with the grandkids. So write me a check for, and here's what I built. Or, hey, here's what it's worth to somebody else to take it and hopefully grow it. But that's their responsibility, be it, a generational situation or a new, ownership situation. What is that we built? Because truly that's what we're working for, be it in real estate, be it in insurance, be it in mortgages, be it in any businesses like that are financial businesses. What's the value? What's the value of the book of business that we created? The relationships that we created over 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Okay, what is it that we're passing along to that new owner in terms of not only residual income from different businesses, depending on what kind of business it is, or what kind of reputation? Because here's another thing. How about reputation? The
Mhm.
reputation of a business is just as important as the money in a business. Is, hey, we can count on this or that business. For example, in the final expense business, there's one company has a great reputation. and you walk into a client whose family had that, and it's almost an automatic sale because they've taken such good care of the previous generation in terms of burial and getting discounts, for example. That's how you want to be known as, oh, you're that company that actually does what they say they're going to do.
Hmm.
And if you do that and the numbers are there, then your business is worth a tremendous amount. If you haven't done that, then you need to look at how do we do that and build a reputation of the brand, okay, better so that it's worth something, in a large number to somebody else, frankly, down the road.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Now, I know you've helped a number of organizations shift their mindsets, their behaviors. And in your consulting, what's a reoccurring mental barrier that you see leadership having?
Customer service has somehow become a secondary business principle
Hmm.
because of technology.
Hmm.
And that's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
People's money and all the businesses you mentioned there a minute ago, George, right? Mortgage, real estate, insurance.
Hmm.
They're all businesses where people are really, these are the most important investments people are making, right? Their home, their insurance, you know, it's really important stuff. You know what I mean? It's not like, hey, I bought a hair dryer, it didn't work. Let me call Amazon, they'll send me another one, right?
Right.
I mean, this is stuff that people spend their whole lives working, going to work every day and do whatever they do, the grind that they go through to pay for those things. So when it comes to customer service, you've got to have good customer service. And this might sound terrible, but you got to have it here in the United States. Okay. You have to be talking to people that you understand, especially for our older consumer. Okay, and I have nothing against having offshore customer service, but at the end of the day, if the person on this side of the ocean can't understand what that person's saying, it gives your business a black eye. Invest in customer service. To me, it's probably beyond obviously your product working, or whatever your particular product or service is. You got to have a good customer service. People have to know that they can talk to a live human being. It's the other thing. People do not want to talk to the AI thing all the time. They'll do it to a point, but at some point when you're talking about their money, they want to talk to a live human being, okay? And they want that human being in many cases, either their name or their ID. A lot of times, different companies for different reasons won't give a name, but I'm John, but I'm ID number 5321. Okay, great. So they call back and they know, hey, I talked to John 5321 at 8 o'clock in the morning on October 17th. Here's what he told me. Okay.
Mm.
IRS is a perfect example. You call the IRS, you don't say the same answer twice. This is your taxes. This is your money.
Right.
Okay. And the same thing with some of our other federal agencies and state agencies. They're very, very bad in customer service. So I think that's one thing that we've lost with all this great technology is the ability to communicate, especially when it comes to people's hard-earned money, that they have a expectation that they're going to get straight answers, right answers. And by the way, if that customer service person doesn't have the right answer, that they will defer to their upline, so to speak. Hey, you know what? I don't know. You got me on that one, George. Can I check with somebody and either put you on hold or get back to you if it's going to take more than 5 or 10 minutes? Be that customer service group. And if you do that, you'll build a great brand. I don't care, what your industry is, you will build a great brand and a great reputation. And we see that, whether you live in Portland, whether you live in Atlanta, whether you live in Dallas, there's companies that you go, well, that company's really, really good at what they do versus, yeah, that company, I gave them money and man, don't ever ask for any help because you're not going to get it. Okay.
Yeah.
That's
And the
really
customer service is so important, John. And you bring it, it's one of those things as companies start looking at how to integrate AI into their business model. Customer service is probably one of the first areas. And I know, George, so one of the things that we're seeing where they're trying to insert that. So it's interesting, just the conversation we're having right here, because, you're talking about offshore, but yet we're seeing a lot of companies saying, hey, we can add AI here in this customer service, and a lot of it's at the beginning part of the transaction, but I mean, that's the business building part. That's the relationship building part.
Exactly.
So, what's your advice to companies? I mean, what should they be considering? Because this is a big red flag.
Let me go back to when I first came to Dallas 30 plus years ago. I ran a company, and I was second in command actually to the owner, but I was running the company day to day. And I got a complaint from somebody on a shipment. Somebody who called the company. They didn't know me. I just happened to be walking by a customer service station. I said, let me talk to that person. And they said they had gotten their product and it looked like it was thrown in the box. So I said to the owner of the company, I said, I want to spend a day in the warehouse, just kind of eavesdropping on the
Right.
people. And I noticed that one of the shippers, actually the head shipper, he had two issues. Number one, he was going outside to smoke pot on his breaks.
Yeah.
That was one issue. The second issue was he literally would take the product, and these are expensive supplements even then, and he would literally basketball throw them into the box. And then he those little, remember those like noodles, those plastic noodles to protect them? So somebody spent a couple of $100 for a box of this company's supplements. They get the box, and it looks like somebody literally threw them in. They didn't place them in strategically, put some lining on the bottom. Anyway, long story short, this was in the days of the old Polaroid cameras.
Uh-huh.
I did a shipment to my own mother who was alive in New Jersey and to a friend of mine in Florida. And I said, do me a favor, take those Polaroids when the product comes from UPS, take it, cut the box, take the picture, mail it back to me. The company will reimburse you for mailing them. Showed them to the owner. We fired that guy.
Yeah.
2 years later, we were a $700 million company.
Mm.
Now, not just because of that. There were a lot of other factors, but here's what a lot of businesses forget. You could do everything right, and that kid smoking dope, throwing the product in the box, just killed your customer on the other end who says, I'm not buying this stuff again. Looks like somebody didn't care enough about it. Okay.
Yeah. And if you don't get the complaints, if somebody doesn't call in and say, hey, this is why I'm not ordering again, then you don't know.
Exactly.
So slowing it down, having an idea, looking at that is so critical.
Exactly.
So we get to the point in our podcast, and I know George has a couple rapid fire questions. So John, are you ready for George's rapid fire questions?
I could talk to you guys all day.
I love it.
Good.
What's a book beyond your own book, John, that changed how you see leadership?
Probably, I would say, well, there's a few of them, but Built to Last, like Jim Collins, and where it gives the comparisons of good companies and great companies. What's the difference? The right people in the right seats on the bus. Okay, was the basic concept that he used. And that opened my eyes to, whether it's what we're talking about, shipping, customer service. Hey, I can be the greatest salesman in the world. But at the end of the day, that customer gets that product and it doesn't look right, they're not buying it a second time. They don't. It doesn't matter what great suede shoe salesman they bought it from. If it doesn't look right, they're not buying it again. Or if they're treated rudely when they do call into the company, if we don't respect them. So these are all components that make a sale last, and more importantly, get a sale again down the road.
I love it.
All right. Now, if you could go back and give your younger self a piece of business advice, what would it be?
Wow. Whew. Boy, that's a great one. Probably.
I knew I'd stump you.
Yeah. You just gotta take a second.
But I would say, first of all, adopt technology sooner into my business.
Okay.
Adopt AI. I mean, I'm still a baby on AI. I'm 1 year into the AI process. I wish I was 4 or 5. Okay. I was at a seminar 2 weeks ago. Not a seminar, thing with Steve Aoki, the famous disc jockey, and he does a thing for brain health. Anyway, he had Ray Kurzweil there. Ray Kurzweil is one of the guys that really kind of created the AI space. He's one of the scientists. And he put up a illustration of the calculations per second that AI is now doing. And he said, this is faster than they projected. These were 2030 projections that are being done in 2025.
Wow.
It's going faster than even these great actuaries and mathematicians thought it was going to be. So if it's faster than those guys thought, and I'm a year into it, I wish I was 5 years into it. So I would have adopted it earlier. So to your listeners, George, guys, what are you waiting for? It's not going to go away. Get into it now. Figure out how it applies to your business now. Use what you can and ask a lot of questions of people who know more than you do.
I
I
love
love
it. I
it.
love it. So, besides work, what's your favorite way to recharge?
Believe it or not, great question. I am a 3 minute a day cold dipper. Okay. During COVID, I discovered Wim Hof during the whole COVID thing, and I started to do at least 3 minutes a day of cold water therapy. It's helped my inflammation in my body big time. I've also used saunas, so cold and hot. I find that those things help me not only to rehydrate and it helps my body, but it also helps this. It helps my brain as I get older because both things have a lot of things for the synapses in the brain, which we need to keep them firing, till the end.
All right. I like that. Here's the last question. What's one phrase or motto that you try to live by?
1983, when I went to my first ever real business meeting, the gentleman in the front of the room said, "For things to change, you have to change. And for things to get better, you have to get better." And it turned out a guy named Jim Rohn had said that, who I'd never heard of. And anyway, the fellow saying it was a guy named Larry Thompson, who's still a friend of mine, who became my first real mentor in the direct selling industry. But what that did, George and Ginger and everybody, is it got me to the free public library because I realized it wasn't my parents, it wasn't my sisters, it wasn't my girlfriend at the time, it wasn't my friends. That if I was going to be successful in life, that it was up to me, and I had to do the self development. And at that time, the free public library, which today is the internet, okay. And I went in, I read books by Mary Kay and Earl Nightingale and Dr. Norman Vincent Peale and other great orators of information that had overcome things in their own lives, become successful in their respective fields. And I started to self-study and make myself the brand. And the reason why I've been able to be successful, not only in multiple industries, multiple fields, multiple products, and multiple generations, is the self-development that I started then continues to this day. It didn't stop because I hit a certain age. Okay. I still am a voracious reader and listener. I mean, how I found you guys' podcast, okay, was for example, how I find other podcasts, because I love
Right.
podcasts. Okay. To me, podcasting is the new media.
Yeah.
So I listen to podcasts of other podcasters all the time and everything from health to finance to business to you name it. There's so much to learn. You're never going to learn it all, but take advantage of the day that we live in, that this technology is, at your fingertips. Because it wasn't in 1983, it certainly wasn't. I had to get my butt to the library to read a lot of this stuff. And I'm glad I did. It gave me a great foundation.
Very nice. Very nice.
Well, I love it. So, George, that's the last rapid fire. John, you did amazing. And I know, it's like on your feet, just so good. For our listeners who would like to get in touch with you, how can they reach you?
Probably just go to my website, johnsolleder.com. There's a way you can get me there. If you want to listen to our podcasts on YouTube under the same name, John_Solleder, or they can Google it and get there.
Perfect.
We got a couple of hundred. I'd love to have you guys on. By the way, I'll have my partner send you the email with the link for that. Anybody interested in any of our books? Okay, these guys are on Amazon still. They're in English, Spanish, and you can download them too. And by the way, they're written for network marketing because that's who I wrote them for. But at the end of the day, if you're in direct sales,
Great.
and to me, direct sales is real estate, insurance, mortgages, automobiles, travel, anything where you deal with a consumer. There's some great ideas in there. And I'll just give you one real fast one. 10 penny principle. Okay, talk to me. Something Zig Ziglar did years ago, for example. It was real simple. You put 10 pennies in your left pocket. You talk to 10 people in the course of the day. Every time you move one in your right pocket. I didn't say they all bought. But what it does is it gets you in the habit of speaking to 10 prospects per day. Now, in the old days, that was belly to belly. Today, that could be over the internet. It could be over Zoom. It could be over, all these other medias. But it gets you into that repetitive of habit that
Mhm.
leads to success in any endeavor that you're doing. Because, the one thing about all these businesses, even in the AI day, you need bodies, you need customers, you need new business constantly to make your business grow.
It's
Yeah,
so
and it's all
true.
about building those relationships. That's
Yeah.
what it comes down to. So
Exactly.
I love that. And John, thank you for building a relationship with us. We're delighted to meet you.
Yeah.
We're delighted to share you and your expertise with our audience. So you guys make sure and connect with John, find out how he can help you in your business. And John, we'd love to definitely have you back on. Love to be on your podcast as well. And guys, if you're looking for your AI tools, you want to go to the AI Beehive directory. So it's aibeehive.com. We now have our app that's available on the iPhone and the Android. So you can honestly put it onto your phone. You can go in, you can search for different AI tools. We're adding different AI tools every single day. And so depending on if you're looking for something to do video production, or copywriting, we have a lot of tools there. And make sure and listen to the AI Beehive podcast. You can find us at aibeehivepodcast.com. And George, thank you. John, thank you. And
Pleasure is mine.
up
I,
and
I,
try
I
AI.
just I just made not that you can see that, but I just made a note of that because AIBeehive.com, I'm going to share with a lot of people. Thank you guys for doing that, because especially, for the older entrepreneur, putting all this stuff in one place is really helpful.
Yeah, well, thank you. Well, that's why we did it. So it's free to search, and if you have AI tools that you want to put on there, you just need to reach out to us and let us know. So thanks, guys, so much, and make sure and go use some AI today.
Thanks for tuning in to the AI Beehive Podcast, where real estate and mortgage pros get the buzz on all things AI. Don't forget to subscribe, share the buzz, and visit www.aibeehive.com to keep building your smarter business. Until next time.